Where's the bear? Don't say Disney Plus. It's on Hulu, not in Canada. Philadelphia? Is that a season 2 spoiler? I thought the bear was a Chicago classic. I thought it was like Scandal or Empire. Which Industry? Which one takes place? The Good Wife? The Good Wife takes place in Chicago. Did you see the tweet that said it sucks so much that America's such a big country, but it only has 2 skylines worth showing in movies? And then everyone knows that one of them is New York City. That's not even up for debate. But there was a lot of discussion about what the second one was. I clocked it. If you ask me the 2 most noteworthy skylines in America, it's New York and Chicago, man. It's like one of the only times you would ever have an establishing shot of a city in the United States, and as a non-American, you would be like, oh, this movie's set in Chicago. Seattle's is fine. Nothing against. It's got mountains. It's got water. It's got the Space Needle. I like Seattle. I like San Francisco. It's got a big bridge. Shut up. It's got 2 big bridges. Okay? LA, bad skyline. Definitely like considering the size of the city, at least. I will say there were a lot of people. If you get owned by a comment that's like, there's only 2 cities in America that have a noteworthy skyline, the worst thing you can do, and I'm so sorry to tell you this, is say like, yeah, but what about mid-sized city I live in? The people from New York are seeing the tweet and they're looking at it and they're laughing and they're going, can you believe they really stepped in here and said, what about Lansing? Can you believe they really dropped hey, like I know New York's pretty impressive, but you're kind of sleeping on Dayton, Ohio. Like you just don't do it. You're not going to win against the New Yorkers in this unique situation, okay? You got to you can love your city, that's fine. I didn't step in there and say, yeah, what about Vancouver? Honestly, the downtown Vancouver skyline is merely adequate. It's not one of those situations where you typically see the skyline. Well, I mean, if anything, you typically see it filmed as if it's a different city in movies such as Catwoman. Why is Vancouver's population so small? Well, I think there's I think first we got to establish what population means and what small means, okay? There's 800,000 people in the city proper. The metro area, though, has like 2 million. So it's definitely more spread out than something like, like a Singapore or a Hong Kong or something like that, obviously. I would also say, in historical context, Vancouver is a relatively recent city, only established like 150 years ago. Obviously, there were people living here before that, but in terms of like, the Canadian context of sending settlers here to populate it as much as possible, we're not talking about Montreal here, where people were hanging out and listening to La Corde du Bois circa 1641 or something, right? Try that in a small. A lot of urbanist YouTubers consider Vancouver one of the best cities in North America. People on the Vancouver subreddit definitely hate living here. It's got its problems, but I think it's pretty nice. Sometimes I think if you don't leave, then you forget that it's good, and then you go to like some other places. It's like the quote that's like, oh, it's the worst city except for every other city I've been to. But then people always do this shit too. Like they live in Vancouver, which has, again, in the city proper, it has 800,000 people. And they're like, why does the transit shut down at night? I just got back from Tokyo and they have 14 subway lines. Like this is ridiculous. And you're like, yeah, they have fucking 100 million people or whatever living in the metropolitan area. Don't do us a disservice. You don't compare Vancouver to Tokyo. You compare Vancouver to like, Austin, Texas, or Seattle, compare it to Portland, the 3rd largest city in, Western European countries. Squeak. Vancouver versus Seattle, who wins? No, my controller! Help me! Get up! My controller! My controller! George, it's not turning on. I'm dead. Okay. I mean, it just turned off there. Yeah, Denver, sure. You can compare me to Denver. I don't mind that. To be fair, Copenhagen has Vancouver's population, and the transit's open 24 hours. To be fair, Tokyo has, 70 times Vancouver's population. The trains stop at midnight. Why? I don't know, because they don't have them driven by robots, because they need good jobs for their increasingly aging population, I guess. Something to do with that. Maintenance? Yeah, probably maintenance. I don't know, that makes way more sense. It might surprise you, I don't work in the business. Yeah, what do you want me to do about it, man? I would love it if the trains... I would love it if the trains were open 24 hours. Unfortunately... Hey! Unfortunately, my ass voted to increasingly fund TransLink in the referendum we had in 2018. Fucking 70% of the city voted it down. So eat shit, lads. I'll see you in my car. I know I've said this before, but I think every time I've ever voted in a referendum, the side I voted for lost. 2 elections, 2 referendums provincially in order to get rid of first past the post voting and instead move to proportional representation. Both failed. TransLink's referendum to I was going to be $3.75 increase to your property tax or something like that to have trains that fly through the air. And I said, that's a pretty good deal. 70% of the city said, eat shit. That's $3.75 I could be spending at JJ Bean. And of course, when I was a young lad in Trois-Rivières, when I voted for Quebec to become its own country, I was in the 49.8%. Yeah. You must have amnesia. You forgot that I'm him. Is Quebec separatism based or not based? Like some issues in life, I think it depends if you're from Quebec. It's a hot button issue. Tell me what to think. I don't know. I was 7 when they had the referendum. It's not really based. But did you ever think that if Quebec successfully separated from Canada, we would have to listen to half as many announcements on the airplane because they would only have to do them in English instead of English and French? You ever think about that? Oh, but the ruinous effects on the economy and our national identity. Brother, I'm just trying to watch Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 without getting interrupted 17 times because they're trying to sell me a Chase Visa card, okay? So true. Hey, I know, you've been in the air for 3 hours now. You must be bored. You ever think about just getting a brand new credit card? Can I say something that might offend you, depending on, where you land on this issue? I kind of feel like the most degenerate thing you can do is buy duty-free. If you buy duty-free in the airport, that's fine. It's not my favorite shop because I don't want Johnny Walker or perfume or a watch or something like that. But if you're the person who buys the duty-free from the catalog in the seat back and then has the flight attendant deliver you your duty-free stuff, I think that's a little bit of degenerate behavior. That's my stepmom. They don't have it in the plane? No, okay. You get it at your luggage pickup or whatever. It is cheaper. Duty-free is cheaper for sure. But the real value of duty-free is when you're crossing at Peace Arch, the biggest crossing in Western Canada. You're crossing the Canada-US border. Sometimes there's a 2-hour lineup in order to get across the border. But if you take the little flex lane, you go to the duty-free, buy a $40 bottle of something, get your bag, the parking lot exit is on the far end closer to the border. You can skip an hour of the line and also get something cheap that maybe you didn't want anyway, but you're paying for a fast pass. No, you're the worst? Bro, I can't go without my Johnny Walker Red. I can. And if I just what do you want me to do? Go out from the interior, the way that you go in? You can't do it. They have the spikes. It can't be done. If it's cheap, why don't people just buy everything at the airport? Well, they don't sell groceries there. All they ever sell is alcohol, cigarettes, perfume, jewelry, and like smoked salmon nuggets for some reason. And I don't know how long you could live on